Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. November 12, 2023. It's week 10 of the NFL season, and we've got a Sunday Night Football game between the New York Jets and the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, wait a second, timeout. This can't possibly be right. Jets Raiders on Sunday Night Football? Zach Wilson against Aiden O'Connell? This has to be some sort of sick joke, right? In prime time? This can't be real. Oh my god, it's real. It's actually real. Were the schedule makers drunk or something? Alright, let's try that again. November 12, 2023. It's week 10 of the NFL season, and we've got a Sunday Night Football violation of the 8th Amendment between the New York Jets and the Las Vegas Raiders. For the Jets, this game feels like a must-win. They enter this one at 4-4, and if they lose to fall below 500 in the ultra-competitive AFC, with an absolutely brutal stretch of games coming up, their season might be over. And by this point in the game, if you even want to call it that, the Raiders found themselves up 16-12, with the Jets having one timeout to work with. I would talk about how this game was going, but this game was so brutal that I don't want to relive any of what happened over the first 58 or so minutes. And neither should you. You're welcome. The situation here is simple. Drive the length of the field with a minute left and a timeout, and you win the game. Fail to do so, and you lose, and you're falling to below 500. There's 49 seconds left. It's 2nd and 10, and Zach Wilson dumps it off to Breece Hall for a gain of 9. Seems like a really good time to use your timeout. Seems like a really good, okay, they're not using it. Well, not sure I agree with that, because it's going to take some time to get back to the line and get set, and the clock is running. But at least if you get a first down here, you'll be good to go.
Nice snap handled by Zach. Crosby coming in. Wilson throws it in the middle. Conklin.
Wow, that actually worked. I don't believe it. That actually worked. What a throw by Zach Wilson. What a catch. Now, you're in a Hail Mary range. And best of all, you have 20 seconds left. You've got time for a few plays. You can call an out route to get a bit closer, and then have 3 shots to the end zone. You have plenty of options. You have... Wait a second. Why is the clock running? Why is the clock running? Robert Saleh! Why is the clock still running? Robert Saleh! J-U-S-T! Just stop the clock! Just stop the freaking clock!
They've got a timeout. They're not going to take it.
Well, that was a disaster. Now you only have 12 seconds to work with instead of 20. Good job wasting 8 seconds there. I'm sure having just 2 chances at a Hail Mary instead of 3 or 4 won't come back to bite you in any way whatsoever.
He's got to get some space and momentum to heave it. Now he does, downfield towards the end zone. It is incomplete.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where a gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're going to take a look at the minds of New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh. You know, it's funny with Saleh. I think a lot of people say going into the season that if the Jets don't make the playoffs, that he's gone as a head coach. Which makes sense, seeing as this would be year 3 without any results, and the expectations were pretty high. Then, the Aaron Rodgers thing happened, and that seemingly got thrown out the window, where barring a catastrophe, he got a pass for whatever happened this year. And now, the tide seems to have turned the other way again with decisions like, well, whatever the heck this was, because I truly have no clue what Saleh was thinking here. It's not the first time that Saleh has been on dumb decisions, as I featured him last year when he completely bungled the timeout management in a game against the Detroit Lions, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And something tells me that it won't be the last. History finds a way to repeat itself. So with that being said, let's take a look at why not calling a timeout with 20 seconds left after the play ended, and instead wasting 8 seconds to call a timeout with 12 seconds is a really bad idea. And keep in mind, this came after the highly controversial decision to not take a timeout on the previous play over the middle of the field when you could have called that at 40 seconds. Which means that from the 49-second mark to the 12-second mark, with the game on the line, you got a grand total of 2 plays off. 2 plays. That is pathetic. I've seen high school offenses get more plays off in a 2-minute drill situation than that. 2 plays in 37 seconds. Obviously, if you're the Jets and you're down by 4 points, you need to score a touchdown. The odds are not in your favor whatsoever, so you want to increase your odds by having as many plays as possible to score. Now, if you call a timeout with 20 seconds left, you have time for 3 Hail Mary attempts. Heck, you might even have time for 4, although that's pushing it. You could call an out route, get a bit closer, and then have some chances at the end zone. You have options. Call a timeout with 12 seconds left, however, and you have no options. You have time for 2 Hail Marys. That's it. I don't want to play the which number is bigger game again like I did last week with Todd Bowles. But seriously, which gives you a better chance at scoring? Having 3 chances or having 2 chances? It's the sequence that gives you 3 chances. It's like anything in life. If I say I'll give you $100 if this coin lands on tails once, do you like your odds of getting $100 better if I flip it 3 times or if I flip it twice? Obviously, it's the first one. But not for Robert Saleh. Not for Robert freaking Saleh, who wasted 8 seconds before burning a timeout, thereby costing his Jets a play, maybe 2 plays, in the process. Now, I know what you might be thinking here. You might be saying, wait a second, Robert Saleh did call a timeout. I mean, he said it clear as day. I'm not a good lip reader, but you can clearly see him mouthing, I called it with 20. What the bleep? And to that I say, that doesn't matter, because this is still on Saleh. And here's how I know this. As a head coach, it is your responsibility to make sure the official can hear you when you're calling timeout. What do coaches do when they know for a fact that they're going to call a timeout? They stand right by the official. If a coach knows they're going to ice the kicker, they are right there in the official's ear ready for that moment. If a coach knows it's a situation where they want to take the clock down as far as possible before calling timeout, they are right there in the official's ear. So this means one of 2 things. Either the official was absolutely incompetent and needs hearing aids, or was throwing this game in favor of the Raiders, or Saleh was in no position whatsoever here when that was entirely his responsibility. And I'm inclined to believe the latter, because we actually have video evidence. This is the kind of investigative reporting you don't get anywhere else, folks. Only here. First, we need to know what Robert Saleh looks like, and I'm talking full body. We see from the shot of him finally getting the official's attention with 12 seconds left that he is on the field wearing white shoes and black pants. In terms of coaches and personnel members who are behind the line of scrimmage, he is, quite literally, the only one wearing that combination of black pants and white shoes all the way around. And if that wasn't clear enough, Robert Saleh pretty much exclusively wears white Nikes. Here he is on the practice field wearing white Nikes. Here's another shot of him on the practice field wearing white Nikes. Here he is unboxing cleats last year for the My Cause My Cleats week. And sure enough, they're white Nikes. Now that we have established that beyond any reasonable doubt, that Robert Saleh wore black pants and not just any white shoes, but white Nikes, let's watch this sequence. And you might notice someone running up the sideline. That's right, Robert Saleh. Robert freaking Saleh. That has to be. There's no other person that could be. He's the only one wearing that color combination. He's got the Nikes on. And you might notice a lack of something. That's right, any referee. There is no referee even in sight. When Saleh called a timeout, Saleh was nowhere near anyone who would have been able to hear it or see it. He is sprinting to get the official's attention when he should have been right next to the official the whole time. He is the only set of legs at the top of the screen. The official is in the position where the next down is going to happen, and Saleh is nowhere near there, where he needed to be, like every other coach in that situation, and track him like a hawk. So are we really going to blame the official for not hearing or seeing the timeout when they were in no position to do so? Or are we going to blame Robert Saleh for not having the awareness to be in that spot in the first place? It's like if you're conducting a choir, and you want your choir to crescendo, or get louder during a certain part of the song. So you're conducting the piece in practice, you make your hand gesture, and the choir doesn't crescendo. You get mad at the choir for not crescendoing, and for not listening to your instruction. Meanwhile, you decided that it would be a good idea to try conducting the piece in the auditorium all the way in the back row, where no one, not a single soul, could see you unless you had 20/20 vision. So you're blaming the choir for not following your instruction when you were in no place whatsoever to give that instruction. There is so much happening on a football field at once, and there are so many noises that, especially in a spot like that, with everyone yelling on the sidelines, it is impossible to hear anything that is not within an earshot of you. Again, that is why you have coaches standing right next to the referee in a situation like this. If you call the timeout 30 yards away from the closest referee, of course they're not going to see it or hear it. What did you think was going to happen? They're not Superman. You have no one to blame but yourself for this one, Coach Saleh. No one to blame but yourself. Even if your intention was to call a timeout, you botched that with your positioning, which is entirely your responsibility, because it's not like referees become invisible or move freely. They have set positions and spots that they are at, and every other coach seems to get it right except for you. And after the game, when Coach Saleh was asked about what happened in that bizarre sequence, he said nothing, because he wasn't asked about that. Seriously, I honestly don't even know what reporters and beat writers are doing anymore, because a lot of them refuse to ask the questions that people want to hear the answer to. The biggest sequence of the game, hands down, and the most controversial moment of the game, and no one bothers to ask Saleh why he didn't call a timeout. There were 11 questions asked during the press conference. About half of them were what I consider to be good questions. Then, you have the other half, where you had questions where the reporter clearly just wanted to hear themselves speak and wasn't paying attention to anything any of the other reporters asked. So they just asked the same exact question. You had questions where it was a yes or no answer. And you had one reporter ask about Aaron freaking Rodgers, who wasn't even playing in the game. And as if Saleh is going to know anything about his injury when that's a question for the medical team and when he wouldn't even be coming back for another month in the best case scenario. How that question on Rodgers helps you write an informative story on this game or a column, I have no clue. But it's just pathetic. No one asked him, what happened on that sequence? Or why couldn't you get the timeout off in time? Or what was going through your mind during that whole thing? Or anything along those lines. So I've got nothing. I've genuinely got nothing. These reporters have let me down this season, because too often, these coaches are let off the hook for idiotic and crucial moments during the game. This was Saleh's screw-up, no one else's, and he didn't even have to answer for it in the press conference. Just pathetic. Now again, am I saying that if the Jets were competently run, and they got the timeout off with 20 seconds left, and they have 3 or 4 chances at a Hail Mary instead of 2, that they win the game? Absolutely not. Again, a Hail Mary is a pretty low percentage play for a reason. But what I am saying is that if they got the timeout off with 20 seconds left instead of 12, that they would have a better chance at winning by virtue of being able to call more plays. The fact that Robert Saleh could not get that timeout off with 20 seconds left and took it down to 12 seconds, thereby wasting 1 or potentially 2 plays, is absolutely pathetic on so many levels. And just goes to show you the ineptitude of the Jets coaching staff. Again, the Jets ran 2 plays in a 35-second stretch. That's it. Look at what the Texans did last week with a rookie quarterback against the Buccaneers. That 1-minute drill situation. How many plays they ran inside that minute? The Jets ran 2! Freaking 2! Robert Saleh has no idea how to manage a clock, no idea how to manage his timeouts, and now, as a result, his seat is flaming hot. So what do we learn from all of this? If you need to call a timeout, it is your responsibility to ensure that the referee hears you. No one else's but yours. And if you are standing nowhere near the referee, that is entirely a you problem. You want to make sure you have as many plays as possible to reach the end zone and score and win the game. So if you let enough timer off the clock to limit the number of plays you have and the number of chances to do that, then you need to reevaluate everything, including how you coach. And if you have no idea where to stand on a situation where you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are calling timeout, then you also need to reevaluate everything. Because if you want to call a timeout, then you should probably be standing next to a referee and not praying to some religious deity that the ref has super hearing. It's either a dumb decision in your positioning or a dumb decision in your decision making. Either way, it's a dumb decision. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.